Hi, I'm Luna, and I've made some Pokemon videos over the past couple of weeks that have been more theories. However, I decided after seeing what happened with the last Pokemon card that issue to discuss the markets and how we, assuming we have the means, can actually work to fix this. You see, I also have a master's degree in computer science, and I have an interest in data as well as how it's handled, which doesn't just mean like the different data processing software and whatnot, but also how we perceive it. I think that's an important discussion to have with this market because it can be the key to how we can fix this. Let me know your thoughts down below though, because, there's a lot of voices needed in this. And of course I've made it powerful. That's the way I show it off. So, the problem. Scalpers and their bots are able to collect multiple of the different sets when some humans can't even get one. They are then able to sell them on these secondhand sites, thus cornering the market and increasing them to crazy levels because they have no opposition. And of course, this is an actual example that I screenshotted yesterday. 185. So let's start by putting in some definitions. The first-hand market. These are the areas directly selling you the product. Of course, you think of the Pokemon Company site itself, but then there's different sites like Walmart, Target, any other place you think of, maybe Costco. Those are the first-hand market. Now, second-hand market. First, let's define second-hand. Here is a definition from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. And I want to emphasize the point, not new. Received through an intermediary. And thus, when we look at the second-hand market, especially eBay and Craigslist, but I threw Amazon in there too. Amazon is weird because it acts as a first-hand market where the Pokemon Company sets it out, as well as the second-hand market, where people put it up used. But with eBay and Craigslist, because they're specifically second-hand markets, the Pokemon Company can't do anything to limit them. They have no control. So, what do? The plan. If you have the means to do so, of course. We, as the Pokemon community, buy a bunch with the bots like they do. Sell them on second-hand marketplaces at or below cost if you can do so, and have enough people doing so to change the perception of the price. See, that's the only way that we can hit the second-hand market. Their cash cows, so to speak. Why does this work? Why does it have to be a bunch of people? Consider this. Amazon listings. I try to specifically choose items that are lower price because with our perception of money and these sorts of numbers, these smaller values like $3 or $4 and the difference between them seemed a lot more than the difference between $100 and $120. That's just a quirk of human nature. So consider this. These are all about the same price around the board, all these pretzels. So, that must be the price, right? Now, consider this. I don't know why Skinny Pop is there. I specifically looked for popcorners, but if you look at these, the different popcorners, I'll include the Skinny Pop in this. There's all sorts of $11 and $10 prices. So you gotta ask, the one that's showing with the lower price, is there something wrong with it? Has it been opened and then resealed? In the case of Pokemon cards, with one low price, has it been opened and resealed? Checked and made sure it didn't have any of the expensive cards? Then, back here, more Snyder's Pretzels. You can see the average price on the right here, but then why are these ones on the left so high? Well, if you think about it closer, you can see party size. That's why this one is higher. And then these rods in the bigger container, I don't like that they're as high priced as they are, but it's still a reason. However, before you even dug into it, you saw the prices, you saw the big jump between one section and another. Or like, huh. And of course we see it more closely here because there's a difference in low price. And that's the important thing. We need to change the perception of prices so that they're at the normal baseline of what people pay in the first-hand market, thus changing the perception that those scalpers and their cash cows are way too high, and go on from there. I'd go on to recommend even keeping up a listing once it's low and only selling one per person, because if you sell all of them, it could just be a scalper and they could just have extra inventory. One per person. Keep the listing up saying more coming soon, and when you can get more, put them up, sell them out. Add some trust into your personal brand, and thus those prices, that baseline being set at the normal rate, kills their cash cow. And thus, here's just a baseline conclusion. Flood the secondhand market, make the scalpers' prices look outrageous, and thus kill their cash cow. That is the only real way that I can think of where that secondhand market, the market that they have been abusing this whole time to push those prices up, well, they suddenly lose the value. Over time, not only the scalpers will have less incentive to be buying out the actual product, but the Pokemon community, if they don't get one, have more faith that they can go to these secondhand areas and buy them at a reasonable price. And of course, it has to be the Pokemon community, because once again, Pokemon Company and the companies like Target that can set up selling certain prices, certain SKUs and whatnot, they have no control over what happens afterwards. Alright, tell me what you think. I know that there are people out there with the means to do so. I'll be here to help out where I can, but I can't be one to monetarily do this. Sadly, there are not many jobs I can work. And one of the few jobs I can work, some prompt engineering stuff, is sort of in a lull right now. I'm trying to make ends meet as it is. Let me know. Let me know how we can do this. Let me know how we can play around to fix this. Leave all the comments below. Let me know on the social medias. I got the X, the Twitter, whatnot. And I hope we can just fix this for everyone.